Everybody, welcome to the press conference ahead of tomorrow's game with AC Milan. We'll start with Keith Downey. If you have a question, please get my attention and we'll try and come to you within the 15 minutes. Thank you. Keith?
Hi Eddie, nice to see you.
You too, Keith.
I know group qualification is out of your hands tomorrow night, but what an occasion this could be at St James's Park if you win the match.
Yeah, I think we're very positive going into the game. I think, as you say, it's got all the hallmarks of being a very special night. I think all we can do, quite predictably, is try and win the game and try and give our best performance, and that we'll give everything to try and do that.
Your home form has obviously been a lot different to your away form of late, so I guess you'll be pleased, relieved that this is at home. Could the supporters be the extra player for you and help get you over the line?
Well, they have been for us this season for sure, and we're going to need every voice, every person can make a difference tomorrow. I think it's one of those nights for us. We need to create the atmosphere that has been befitting really of our home form. The supporters have never let us down at home. I think they've been incredible. They've really driven us on, especially when there's been some tight games and we've been working as hard as we do in the matches. They've given us the ability to keep going, and we're going to need that tomorrow.
I feel like a broken record asking you about injuries, but our cameras were at the training session this morning. Obviously, with just a one.
What did you see, Keith?
I saw some players walking around and then doing a few stretches. So it probably wasn't a training session, but there was no Anthony Gordon, no Martin Dubravka, and no Sean Longstaff. Should we read anything into that?
Yes and no. You can read whatever you want into it. We're 2 days after a game, so we're obviously trying to manage players. And we'll see who's fit for tomorrow. I've just given you nothing there, have I?
Go Lee and then Chris.
Eddie, famously Newcastle against Feyenoord under Bobby Robson got through in the last game. Can you use that game as a bit of history to inspire you for this one? Yeah,
I mean, anything that helps us. So I think being under lights here is always very special. But under lights, Champions League, with something to play for and with everything to gain, I think that's got to be our way of looking at it. I think before the Paris game, I think we'd have definitely taken this position. Of course, it could have been very different, but we are where we are and the position that we're in. And I think we're looking forward to trying to improve on our last two performances. So I think the lads are very focused.
Just on the goalkeepers, I mean, obviously Nick Pope's out now, but you still got three keepers. Is there a chance you could rotate goalkeeper, or is it three players pushing for that one position?
Yeah, it's not really a position I want to rotate, to be honest. I think every team benefits from having a settled goalkeeper, a settled back four. That's always been my way of working with my defensive structure. But let's see what tomorrow brings.
And just finally, I've heard some sort of observers say, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing if Newcastle went out of Europe. Knowing you're very positive, you're not going to subscribe to anything like that, I guess.
No, not at all. We're desperate to stay in this competition first and foremost, and if we can't, then stay involved in Europe. We worked so hard to get into this position in the first place. We gave everything last year to try and achieve European football. We don't want to give it away lightly. So, no, our intention on behalf of me, the players, the coaching staff, is to do everything we can to try and win the match.
Hi, Eddie. You mentioned that after Paris, before Paris, you would have taken this position, but at the start of the group stage, when you were the fourth seeds going into what everyone's called the group of death, if you'd been given the opportunity going into the final game to go through, would you have taken that at that stage?
I think probably. I think to be here with some kind of destiny in our hands, maybe not the destiny that we wanted, but European football still in our hands. I think, I don't want to be perceived to be negative, but I think we'd have taken that, and I think that's how we have to think now anyway. I don't think thinking anything other is helpful. So we can control what we can control. We can control our performance tomorrow. We can give everything we can to try and win. We respect our opponents. I think they're a very good team. I think they showed us that in Milan. I actually thought we played really well. I thought they played really well too, and quite an open game with lots of chances.
And in terms of the team, that was obviously your first game in the Champions League this season. How do you think the team has come on since then and learned in this competition? Obviously, you've had a lot of injuries, but in terms of progressing into the tournament.
Yeah, maybe the team and the squad hasn't progressed in the way that we would have wanted, purely from the fact we haven't seen a lot of the players since. So, but we're, say time and time again, we're not moaning about the situation. We faced the situation that we've been in, I think, strongly, and that's all we can do. It was great to have 2 players back on Saturday. That gave us a huge lift, and their performances when they came on gave us a huge lift. So, yeah, we're going to the game confident.
Just finally on that front, have you got any other players who could be back for this match other than the ones that were mentioned before?
I'm not sure.
Luke Edwards.
How have you enjoyed the Champions League?
I've really enjoyed the Champions League, but there is a slight but, because I don't think we've been able to maybe have the freedom to attack the competition maybe like we would have liked to have done. So I'm not going to go back to what we did, the subject we just spoke about, but I think that's my only feeling that I'm left with, which is negative. I think that the tournament itself is special. The places we've been have been incredible. The stadiums, the atmospheres, the experiences we've had here at home have also been memorable. So we have one more game, and we want to try to make this as memorable as possible.
What would be your message to the fans coming to the ground, Grant?
I think to make it a magical European night, and they can only do so much. We have to do our bit to make it that.
And I know, I've got a feeling I know what you're going to say, but you've been heavily linked with Kalvin Phillips, loan move. There's even suggestions that it's all but done. Is there anything you can say on that?
That isn't correct.
Okay. Greg Hope and then Damien Spellman.
Eddie, is there almost a feeling that you've got 2 teams at the moment, the team away from home, who look depleted, who look injured and, depleted number, but the team at home, who almost look as if the injuries are a strength in a way, that collective resolve, and there's a newfound spirit that almost look energised at St James's. Do you feel as if you've got 2 different teams at the moment?
No, I don't feel that way. I think that might have looked that way the last couple of games for sure. And we have to take responsibility for that. I think the last 2 games have happened for different reasons. I won't go into that now because I want to focus on what's ahead. But I don't doubt the character of the players that we've got. The character is there, the spirit's there, the intention is there to do well away from home. But that can wait for another day, that worry. Tomorrow we just have to focus on a home form and a performance against Milan.
Just last one, a direct question. Is Martin Dubravka fit for tomorrow?
That is slightly unclear.
Damien.
Hi, Eddie. Eddie, given the fact that the club hasn't played in this competition for a long time, or Europe at all for a long time, the group you were drawn into and the problems you've had, how big an achievement would it be to get out of this group?
Yeah, I think it would have been an incredible achievement if we can do it. There's so many twists and turns that could happen that we can't transport ourselves there. All we can look to do is try and win the game. I know that sounds a little bit dull for your headlines, but it is the reality of where we are. So we have to get our focus right. We can't be distracted by what's happening elsewhere. We just have to perform as well as we can.
Okay. Jimmy, right at the back, please. Maybe Jens.
Italiano o English? Italian. Cosa pensi dell'ultimo momento che sta vivendo il Milan e se pensi che la notizia di ieri dell'arrivo di Ibrahimovic nel club possa cambiare anche solo in 24 ore la mentalità dei giocatori del Milan?
Yeah, I think Milan watched a lot of football in the preparation for this game, and I think they're a very dangerous team, and I felt that before the first game. I think having that game was a real benefit for us because I think we learned a lot about ourselves in that first match, but also about Milan. So I respect the coach who's done a very, very good job, and they've got some top players. So, yeah, Ibrahimovic, he can't play, thankfully, tomorrow. So we're just focused on the team that we're going to face.
Just round to Martin Hardy in the middle.
Cheers. Hi, Eddie. How hungry are you and the players to stay in European football?
As hungry as you can be. Yeah, we're fiercely determined to try and go through in the Champions League first and foremost, and we want to keep a positive feeling and positive momentum with our season. So, yeah, every part of us wants to do that. The Premier League waits until we play Fulham, so we're looking forward to this test.
You were probably 90 seconds away from having your destiny in your own hands. Can you use that sense of injustice tomorrow night?
I don't think it's relevant on our minds at the moment. I think what's relevant is AC Milan and getting our as I said, our tactical plan right for what a difficult team to play against. And then, of course, closer to the game, we might look at one or two things psychologically and try and help the players in any way we can.
And do you think, is there an anger amongst the players, or how is their mood after the last two games? Is there a desire to kind of put things right, maybe?
Yeah, I don't sense anger. I think there's a resolve, there's a commitment to try and perform better than the last two. But I think very quickly, as I said, after the Tottenham game, we had to put those games away because it wasn't helpful looking back. It's all about the future now.
Scott. And then Mark Douglas.
Hi, Eddie. There's been a lot of talk over the course of the last couple of games, Eddie, about kind of fatigue and the amount of injuries and whether it's, everything piling on top of each other. Does it help in some ways that this is, if you like, a one-off game now? It's a very simple equation. You've got to win the game. So in some ways, does that help the players that there's a real clarity there about what they've got to do and it is a one-off thing?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you look at it. Every game really is a one-off thing. But of course, this is a cup competition, and this is the last game of the group stage. So I think we'll have finality on where we are. So I think that fatigue's a difficult thing. That's been well documented, and the amount of games and the amount of injuries we've had. We've tried to stay away from that as best we can. We've just tried to focus on playing and keep our minds relatively free from things we shouldn't really be talking about. The players have done very well to handle that. Yes, our last two performances haven't been where we want them to be, but yeah, we've got to come out all guns blazing tomorrow.
Mark Douglas.
Eddie, there's been a bit of talk about Kieran Trippier, who's obviously probably not had his best two games in the last two. You know what a class act he is. Presumably, he's been so good in Europe as well. Presumably, you'll back him to get back up to the heights tomorrow.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, I think, for such a consistent time, both in and out of possession. When he plays well, our team tends to play much, much better. So he is a key part of what we do in every way. So, of course, I back him. He's an outstanding individual.
And Sean Longstaff coming back into the team. He's played so well in Europe when he's been fit and been there. Is he somebody you're considering bringing back in from the start tomorrow?
Of course, he's a consideration, but we have a lot of information to digest, not just with him, but with Callum as well, to making the right decisions for them, the team. So, yeah, I've got some big calls to make, thankfully, for the first time in a long time.
Okay, just one. Kieran behind you, just to finish. Just one, please, Kieran.
Hi, Eddie. Has Sandro given you any intel ahead of this game, and have you been able to tap into his experience at all, even though he's obviously ineligible?
To a point, yeah. But of course, we'll have conversations, but I always prefer to trust my own eyes and what we see, and as I would for every game, prepare in a structured way. But of course, little bits of information that he can give us, of course, we try to utilise that.
Thanks, everyone. That's all we have time for. Callum Wilson will be with you very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers. Sorry about the call.